What is up, guys? Kyle Smith, Arizona drummer here, and welcome to Behind the Kit episode 10. Today's guest is none other than Mr. Frank Zummo. You may know him from Sub 41, from Electric Callboy, or maybe even his upcoming book, Unbreakable Rhythm, My Journey Through Music, Wellness, and Mental Strength. I'm so excited for this book. In this conversation though, guys, we talk about his background in music, how he got started on the drums. We do a deep dive into the book, as well as talk about some really funny stories, his experience with Sub 41, his experience, of course, joining Electric Callboy, and everything he's got coming up in the future. I'm so excited for this one. Frank and I became good friends in this interview, and you'll see why, because he is an incredible dude, an incredible drummer, incredible father, and he is carrying the torch for the next generation of drummers. So with that being said, let's jump into the interview. Welcome everybody to the channel. It's Kyle Smith, Arizona drummer here, and I am joined by the one, the only, Mr. Frank Zummo. Welcome to the channel.
Thanks for having me, man. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Just slammed, getting ready for tour, and working on the audiobook. So here I am. I'm on the road right now, and I'm doing this from the hotel because there's just like deadlines. It's stressful but exciting. Like to see that the book is like actually, it's happening. Like it's coming to life, and it's real, and just in the thick of it now, which is crazy.
Dude, congratulations, by the way. I cannot wait to talk about it. We're gonna talk about the book. We're gonna talk about your philosophy, like what into putting the book together. But we got to start at the beginning. We got to start at what got you started on the drums. Like, how did you get started? Just what led you to this instrument?
Just born into it. Luckily, my parents were in a band. They were gigging while my mom was pregnant until she had me. She was on stage, and so I was just obviously just around that. It completely resonated with me from the womb, and my parents said at like 2 years old, I just left the dinner table, and the next thing they heard was me playing my dad's drums. Like I found it in whatever room it was set up in our little apartment, and that was it. You know, they really, it's cool. Like it was my dad's 1976 Ludwigs that I still have to this day, which is really, really special. And that was it. You know, and what was cool is they were just like, hey, like, you know, when kids start playing drums and they're young, it just sounds like a racket. Like you just started hitting the drums and we could tell like there was something there, which is cool to hear that story, you know, later in life. So it was pretty much right away. Music was in my life, and I found drums and been on this journey pretty much ever since.
I did not know that. That is awesome that your parents were out touring, your mom was pregnant, and you're like, dude, I literally was born into this. Like how cool is that?
It's super cool. And like I tried to, when my wife was pregnant, like, you know, she was coming to shows, and, you know, I took right before my firstborn, you know, I was like, Motley Crue was on their final tour. And I was like, that was my first show. I'm like, this is their final tour. So in the womb, he came to the show, and he was doing like cartwheels in her belly because of the pyro, the bass, like all that. And then he was born like a couple days later, and then they wound up obviously reuniting years and years later, and I took him to see Motley, which was pretty cool, like full circle to you know, have my son be part, because that was my first concert. That's what really like officially inked my life, saying this is what I'm gonna do. Seeing Ozzy and Motley in '84, that was it.
Damn, what a show. That's awesome. And it's funny, it sounds like your son was maybe channeling his inner Tommy Lee, doing the flips and all the
Totally.
stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. What a great first concert. I'll tell you, my first concert, official, because, you know, I did some local stuff. My first, like, concert I went to and paid tickets to see was Dream Theater, Megadeth, and Fear Factory. And it was like, at one, everybody had a double bass drum set. But then two, it was just the coolest, you know, show to go to. Just big metal, pyro, big show. It was really awesome.
That's a good one. I mean, you always remember your first because it's either amazing or horrible. You know, it's like, but yeah, my dad was very into shows and would always take me. I mean, I think my second show was like Dio. You know, it was like we just saw all the rad shows. And we had, the arena in Long Island where I grew up, and they always had the shows. And then we would go to New York City. And I think there's another crazy story. Like when I was little, because I'm from Long Island, which you just said Dream Theater's from Long Island. Um, and so is Twisted Sister. It's a big Long Island, like New York band. And they played like kind of in my town. It's a little mini theme park that's still there to this day. They played a show there for some reason. And we went, and I don't remember this because I clearly was very young, but they pulled me on the stage and like D held me or something like that on stage, which I totally didn't put this in my book. I always forget the story. So maybe in the next edition, I need to add that. But yeah, like it's crazy. D pulled me up on stage because I was like this little kid in this show, like rocking out or something. It was pretty crazy.
That's awesome. It's funny you mentioned that because like on I mentioned at the beginning, I obviously come with my questions, which we'll talk about, but like thinking about you getting pulled up on stage with D, kind of him paying it forward to the next generation of rockers, it's just natural progression for me into loyal to the craft and all the work that you're doing with Mike and that brand and like how you're also now doing that, like paying it forward, standing up, maybe not standing up, but creating opportunities for the next generation of drummers and musicians to realize that these dreams are attainable. And all the events that you've done, like whether it's the kind of pop-up clinics or just the meet and greets or all the different stuff that you've been involved with, like first, I know you and Mike are really good friends and you've been friends for a long time, but like I think it's fair to assume that, your intent is to pay it forward, but like, you are, I think, more intentional than most when it comes to doing that. So what do you think it is that drives you to really give back to the community in that way?
It totally happened organically, which is what I love about it. But I would love to go see all the big drum clinics and workshops when I was coming up. I got to see, my favorites like Tommy Aldridge and Kenny Aronoff and, all these great, amazing drummers. And it was great to see them and meet them, but it was always a bit like it's in this VFW hall, very stale, or like a drum shop with just shit everywhere, like, and they would just go out there and it would just be a fireworks show, and then you'd meet them real quick, they'd sign something, and then when they would talk, it was just kind of like about all of that, it just drums. It was very. And there was one that I went to that was pretty fun. Like Chad Smith did one, and he's such a character that, he played his Chili Peppers songs, and just it was fun because he's such a character. And that was like a really cool, special one. I remember seeing it at a young age, and like I remember at the time Skid Row was like a big band, and the drummer opened for him, and he was so nervous. He was like messing up and dropping sticks and maybe drunk. And I was just like, this is so awkward, And then Chad came up there and just made it so fun and rad. But I was always just like, I felt like something was missing. It's just like the fan side of me. It just felt very, just what it was, like stale-ish. Not to knock the talent or the drummers, like all that was great and rad. But then I got a call from Mike from SJC, and he said, yo, do you want to come to China and do these drum workshops? And I was like, what? Like China? This is crazy. He goes, yeah, there's like drum only schools there where there's like 200 kids enrolled. And it's like in America, we have, more like School of Rock type stuff. And I don't know of any drum schools that maybe the Drummers Collective in New York City where I went, but that's a lot, like 200 kids of just like kids that go. So he's like, drums are a big thing here. We're going to these beautiful performing arts centers, some venues, and, they want you and I to go. So I said, okay, but I want to make this special and I want to connect with the local community. So let's have local drummers open for me. And then to end the whole show, let's have those drummers play like a Sum 41 to track, like with me. And to see how amazing that worked, and like to give these drummers that opportunity, and then to see them freak out because they're playing with me, and then we take a big group photo with the whole crowd afterwards. I was just like, okay, this is really special. This is more than a clinic. This is like an anti-clinic almost. And we're just talking to the crowd about what they want to talk about. I'm not sitting here talking about, and it was a drum school, obviously. So there was, half the questions were music related, but then there was also like started to go down to like the just life questions. So Mike and I were just so inspired that we literally came up with a whole plan to take this to America and how to just go even further with it. So, we started touring it in America, and that's when things, we would get School of Rock involved because we were like, yo, there's School of Rocks everywhere. Let's have these kids come. And it started with like just the drummers of kids from School of Rock jamming with me. Then it literally turned into years later. Now I go play with the full School of Rock bands, the whole band, and we change musicians every song, so everybody gets a chance. We'll have two or three drum sets on stage, so I'm playing the songs with the school drummers. Um, it's just it's and to see these kids just freaking out, and I think it's because I didn't have these opportunities, and now when I found this community of like School of Rock, and I see how it's working, and then it's really just me jamming with the kids and then letting them do their own concert of what they want to do. I'll go do like if we have time, sometimes I'll do like a 15-minute just like medley of like kind of some stuff that I'll perform. But then we have like a open question answer. There's nothing planned. We just open the floor. And it started becoming a reoccurring theme of like kids wanting to talk about mental health, wellness, being bullied at school. Like all of this heavy stuff started coming up organically, which is so special that these kids wanted to have these conversations. So it's gone into that place now, and we've gotten teen suicide prevention organizations involved to be at these events when they can. So it's just really, really evolved. And even during COVID, the School of Rocks were open. So I got in a car because I couldn't fly because of quarantine. I was driving to the schools and doing like just for the students and teachers. And then as things started to open up, and now our new formula is basically I go to one market because there's at least a dozen School of Rocks around each place. We get all the schools to come out and we do like a big event, which is really cool. So it's evolved into that now because that's a little bit easier than touring it because touring, there's so many costs. And, Vans was the biggest supporter and would help, fund these so they were free for the kids. And obviously, since COVID and all that, a lot of companies just, can't afford stuff like that now. So we've come up with kind of a new way to make it work. But it's like, to end this little, long, it's a kind of a long story how this journey got here. But like one of my, I always try to say, hey, how do we top this every year? Like, how do we even go bigger? One of my goals was like, get these kids and we play for the NFL, like either a halftime show or a pre-game concert. And that was my goal. And it's actually going to happen in December for the New York Giants. So I'm going to play with the All-Star kids and we're the pre-concert to the New York Giants, which is insane. Like that these kids get to play, MetLife Stadium with me, and we're just gonna do an insane, set. Pretty sick.
Dude, I would say a step above pretty sick. Like that's awesome. But
Yeah.
but seriously, like, I my first interview on the channel before I even started Behind the Kit was with Mike. Mike and I became friends. I was using SJC for a little while and have since kind of shifted to a couple other things. But his approach to loyal to the craft, just talking about it, I mean, it got me like emotional in the interview, and even now I'm like, God, this is just a cool way to pay it forward. And I could sit here and probably spend the whole rest of the interview on loyal to the craft, but what I will just say is thank you for doing what you're doing, because what I have seen from a lot of drummers is more movement towards, again, giving back to the next generation and creating more opportunities and access. And I think there's the pros and cons of social media, which we could talk about probably for another hour. But one of the pros that comes from all this is just access and the ability to talk to these people and learn from them. And that's the genesis of this channel. And so, again, I just want to say thank you for doing all the work you are doing to give back to the community, because I do think that without that, you run the risk of not having one in the future, of not having a generation of kids interested in
For sure.
becoming musicians. So
It's really, it's, it's not even, it's just been so easy and effortlessly and fun that I feel like it's my calling, and it's, it's really, really special in so many ways. And I always say this, like, this is what I want to use my spotlight for. If there's this many eyes on me, I want to do this kind of stuff to motivate, inspire, because there's just so much hard things kids have to deal with. They have it way harder than I had it coming up now, with just the access to a lot of, bullying is not just, in person. It's online now, and it's and that's like what I try to just tell the kids, because it really discourages them. And I don't think this stuff is being talked out about, by, as many artists or whatever it may be. So it's like, if I can get out there and talk to these kids and be like, we all go through this, and it's that you just have to just ignore the noise, because it's become a an amazing place, social media, to have help your band, your career, all that stuff. But it's also a dark place if you play into the comments, whenever. And that's what is a bummer about, we're in the drum community, like, let's just say Zildjian puts up a rad video of Josh Dunn, whoever. And these are drummers that are incredible human beings. They're artists. They're in bands that they made it. They're doing it. Like, and just, it's got to be just jealousy, whatever it is. The amount of toxic comments and all that. It's just like, why does our drum company community do that? Why do they do that? Like, support. We don't have to like everything that's up there. It might not be our style. We not be into like the prog drumming, whatever it is. Respect it. They made it. Zildjian is posting about them. And again, this is just an example. But like, the YouTube, the this, the that, the amount of just negative, toxic stuff that really hurts people. And it really hurts like these upcoming kids that are just like so happy to put something out there, and it like crushes their soul. And it's like, this is not cool. Like, when I was a kid, we didn't have that. So if somebody didn't like something, they had to tell me to my face, and then they'd have to deal with that altercation. Am I going to punch you? Am I going to yell at you? We have a conversation. We're going to hug it out. Everyone's a tough guy behind their phone, they're whatever, but they're actually hurting people and making people have depression, suicidal. Like, it's fucked up, and it needs to stop. It's like, I love engaging. Electric Callboy is so dialed into social media, and their fans and their community are amazing. So, yes, I like to engage in the comments, because they have a really loving community. But you got to be careful, because you go down that rabbit hole, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, why would people take time to say this about an artist, or just even about a human? We're all humans, and we're just trying to navigate. Like, we're not doing it to say like, I'm the best in the world and this is how it is. It's not about that. So it's just, it's my only thing that really hurts about our drum community, that people need to, if you're jealous, use it as fuel. Like, let's see your video. Let's see you get posted. Like, use that as your fuel, instead of sitting there being so negative and disrespecting somebody else that you don't even know. It's like, it's crazy.
Absolutely. Like, I'm so happy that I started this YouTube stuff, where I'm putting my videos up, and then coming back, which you and I could talk about this another time, of like my background, but coming back to the industry in my 30s, because I left in my early 20s and I came back in my 30s. I'm so glad I did, because God, if I had had to deal with any of the stuff you're talking about when I was younger, I would have not been able to persevere or push through, and that's just because I'm older, and I'm and I don't give a shit, but then two, it's, you just kind of grow through it. But when you're younger, it's like, God, it's devastating. Like, you put so much energy and work and courage, right, into just saying, hey, check this out. I'm so proud of this. And maybe it's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be. Like, that's one of the things I pride on some of the videos I put up on none of what I play is perfect. It's
called being a human, dude. We're not machines. Use machines then for that, and that's a lot of what's happened, to our industry, because, it's very expensive to go in a recording studio, and all of the, especially recording drums, the mics, all that stuff. It's very easy to get software and program drums, and, things are made by computers now that sometimes when a human has to do their take on it, it's a little bit, because, there's a human feel. And yes, technology is great. Things sound, they've got feel, all that stuff. And I fully embrace that whole world too. And I use it, and I'm a fan of it. Like, great. But yeah, it's just like, we're not machines, and it's not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be like, the organic push and pull and just that energy and all that. And that's what it's about. Like it's this isn't we're just human. That's what it is. It's human, and it should just be like a fucking rock and roll. You're in the garage sweating it out, and like that should just come across everything that you're doing. And this isn't like, yeah, if you're a DJ, of course, that's you're mixing, you're whatever you're doing. It's different than like live musicians vibing off each other and just the feel of the audience and all that. And sometimes we have days, just like athletes. Athletes have days, Somebody struck out at all game. Then the next game he's hitting home runs. It's just that's called being a human. And I love the little bit of that imperfection stuff. And most of the time it's like in our heads and no one even notices. Sometimes, you'll have a gig, something happen, and you're just like down on yourself and nobody noticed. And like you can't, it's easy to let that get in your head and then it takes you out. But like I always have to remind myself, all these people paid to come to the show to be entertained tonight. And that's what it's about. So if I ever get in my head, I have to remind myself they've worked hard to be here. They spent a lot of money to be here. They're escaping their just everything to be here. And that's our job, to entertain them. They don't give a shit that I, have a stomach ache or whatever it may be. Like that stuff needs to be left there. I'm here to entertain, and it's like, yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. I talk about this a lot on the behind the kit stuff, and then I promise I'll get into the other questions. But to me, what gets lost in that is like the purpose of all this, like the benefit, the fun, the joy is like connection, right? It's like whether it's connecting with your inner self, whether it's connecting with the group of guys and gals you're playing with, whether it's connecting with the audience, it's all about creating that exchange of energy and like, again, I always say this as a drummer, like our job is to help foster the bridge between the artist and the audience. Mm-hmm. And the only way to do that, and again, as a YouTube drummer, even like I'm the artist in that case, right, to the audience, but still it's the only way to do that is to like be yourself, be vulnerable, be human, just focus in on connection. And again, to your point, they didn't pay to go on YouTube and watch the music video, which is perfect. They paid to come not just see the band play live in person where it's tangible, but to feel the emotion and the energy coming from those individuals on stage. And it's like that's what you pay for, is like for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, you can kind of throw it all out and just give in to the experience. And to your point, if you're so focused on perfection or what is the person in the front thinking or what is the person on YouTube going to comment, you can't just lose yourself in the moment and give into that experience and give back to that audience. So I could not agree with you more. Even in the videos you did with Sweetwater, where you're doing run-throughs of songs, whether it's some or it's Electric Callboy or whatever, like you're just fucking ripping because you're like, dude, I don't care if one person clicks on this or 10,000 people click on this. Like I am having the time of my life. I am giving into this energy and this experience. If you're going to watch this video, I want you to get something out of it, not just watching me play the damn song. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's same thing. Sweetwater, Drumeo, I was just like, this is a performance. Like they were like, oh, you can do other takes. I was like, no, this is a performance. This is, we're not recording this for a record. And even on the record with Sum 41, it's like 2 takes and then like a fun take.
Yeah.
And it's like we want to capture the energy of like a live show. All the pre-production is done in advance, the homework. So it's like, let's capture that energy like we're doing a show. But like even with, there's some unreleased stuff that'll come out, at some point with Drumeo where it's like, learn something quick or here's for the first time. And I was just like, let's go with the first ones. Like this is what it's supposed to be. You gave me a test, I had to do it. I don't want this like edited to be clean, perfect. Like this is what this challenge was. And whatever the result is what the result is. It was an exercise, so like, let's go with that for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Last thing I'll say on this, and I'll jump into Sum 41 stuff, is most of the time when I'm doing a cover on the channel, it's the first time I've heard the song. Maybe I heard it that day, and I listened to it 2 or 3 times. I'm like, okay, let's do my version of it, and I just, because I think, and this is just my style, but I'm like, if I do it if I go too far with it, it becomes prescriptive, and then it becomes you're just watching me track, to your point, which can be cool on its own. But no, like I want you to watch my version. So my version is, this is the first thing I thought of. This is what I felt when I heard it.
Yeah.
The spirit of the song is still there, but I'm having a fucking blast. And and people dug it because it's my interpretation, my energy in it, and I could not agree with you more on that. Which actually is kind of a good segue, because you stepped into Sum 41 in 2015, I believe, but at a time, I mean, their sound was already iconic. I remember me being, early 2000s skateboarding, having them in my Walkman, which half the people listening to this can be like, what the hell's a Walkman? And, you do a kick flip and the CD skips. But so I'm curious, like, how did you balance honoring the legacy of that iconic sound, but then also still putting your own stamp on the old stuff, but then, of course, all the new stuff that you recorded with them over the last, over 10 years?
It was like three things coming in. It was like, okay, there's the studio version that you want to be as close to possible. Then there's the live versions where things are extended or things change for live. And then it's like learning Derek's as, the singer and the leader, because we didn't use tracks. So everything was just played by us because he never wanted to be stuck on a grid. So it was like breakdowns would be based on the crowd and his reaction. So I had to learn his body language, when to take it down, when to go back in, like all of that, learning him as like a front man. So it was like those three things that I had to learn. And it was like, I started jamming with him and some buddies. Then the guys came out and we did a whole week. And like, they would say, oh, this is, check out the live version. We extend this. So it was just a lot of really like honing it in and finding out the place. And then obviously you just do you because you're you. So that comes out, and they're just like, oh, this feels like Tommy Lee or Dave Grohl on this song now, because that's just like you're putting you on it, which cool to have that, but I always try to just respect what it is. But of course you're you, so you come out, on it. It was the same way in Callboy, like the program stuff on the records, then the live interpretation, then me just being me. And I remember the first time being in rehearsal, the singers were like, oh, and this chorus, this groove feels so good, and like this is rad. And I was like, cool, like it's cool that you guys can feel that, like just doing my thing that just comes out organically, especially when I like love the music. And this isn't like a session I got hired to just bang out and record the exact way it was supposed to be. This is different. I'm in the band and this is music that I love, and this is what's coming out of me. So I think it's just like all those things, those are the three main points for that.
Absolutely. It's funny. So we started this talking about Motley Crue's reunion tour, or sorry, their retirement tour. Obviously they did reunite, but their retirement tour, you got to go see it. You got to take your son to it. Then you got to have your own retirement tour, at least Sum 41 did, right? So they went around, I mean, gosh, pretty much all of 24 and into this year.
Yeah.
What was that like for?
It was a year and a half final tour. We went everywhere. I mean, we really did. It was really special, and it ended in the most amazing way at the Juno Awards, where we got inducted into the Canadian Hall of Fame and got to close the award show. I mean, and then like the final tour dates before that were in Toronto, 2 nights, sold out in the band's hometown arena. Got a street named after us. Got a key to the city. Like, it was, when we set out on this, we knew obviously it would be special, but we had no idea that the amount of tickets that would be sold, the amount of the way the albums charted. We had 2 number ones on the final record, like the biggest stats in the band's history, which was so amazing because even if we dreamt that up, we would have never thought that would have happened. It was the perfect way to go out. But also for me, what was special about it is when I got in the band, it really wasn't a band. And we had to rebuild the band. We started in a club tour, and we're just like, we've got to prove ourselves. We've got to crush it. And we just set out to just like destroy and work really, really hard. And to see in a decade with this band going from square one to just like, we did a stadium in Paris sold out, to go that far. But it was also like, I've worked my whole life to get to that level, and now it's over. I just got a taste of it. This is what I've always wanted. So that was the hard part for me, was just like, okay, now I'm fired up more than ever that I've got a taste of this. This is what I want to do. I'm not done, but holy shit, how hard is it going to be to land the next thing, or what's going to happen? And Destiny just had it that in Australia we canceled because Derek was ill. Electric Callboy took our spot. Their drummer was ill. I filled in last minute, and now I guess I did a good enough job that they offered me the gig, and I'm doing a world tour that starts, next month. So it's off to the races again, and it's really incredible. Which is last thing I'll say on the final tour is I got the best bit of advice was that, like, yo, don't worry about the future. Like, worry about every show, everything works out. So I made sure I was present. I enjoyed it. And I had that mindset literally until the Juno Awards, because I'd be like, okay, we have this next tour to look forward to. And then there wasn't any more. And that's when, like, I got really scared and I was just like, holy shit. And literally the next day, Electric Callboy called me. So it was just like, I knew going into the Juno Awards that I was in the band with, like, because I found out that day, which was just like, holy shit, like, I'm so glad I didn't stress because things work out. You got to live in the moment because we're never guaranteed a tomorrow. Like, just it's was really, really good advice. And it's funny because, like, even, you're talking about Lady Gaga. Tosh, is a homie, and he got that gig, and we were rehearsing with Sum 41 for I think it would must have been like the end of the tour. We were doing video or something in LA. We were staying at the same hotel, and he was just like telling me, like, they were rehearsing for the Gaga tour, and he was just like, yeah, we're doing this cycle, and then I don't know what's gonna be next, and, like, he was getting that, and I was just like, bro, I'm gonna give you advice that was given to me. Live in the moment, bro. You just got the keys to the kingdom. Enjoy every night. Your resume is insane now. You're gonna land anything. So it's cool to, like, pass on that advice that was good for me, because my friend, went out on a final tour with his band and was so stressed out he didn't enjoy at all. And he just gave me that advice, which I'm so glad. So, like, it's cool to pass that on now.
Dude, I absolutely, like, when I was, so again, I won't go into too much because I want to make sure one, this channel's heard my background story way too many times, but then two, I want to talk about you, but I know exactly what you mean. So, like, I've obviously come back. I came back to the industry in 2020, which again, I picked a perfect year, but I hung up the keys, or the sticks, if you will, in 2012. And it was one of those situations where I didn't appreciate it. I did, because I was young, but I didn't appreciate it. I didn't live in the moment. I didn't have that, like, savor this. And I went 10 years without ever playing in front of an audience. Mm-hmm. And it was brutal. I mean, you start to forget what it feels like. You start to, it just it like leeches from your soul. And then I played a show again in 2022, the first one back, and it was just like, oh my God. Like, and obviously I came back in my 30s, but I came back and I was like, it was like a small, club show to maybe 100 people, something like that. But I was like, I'm going to just soak up every second of this. I'm going to scream. I'm going to yell. I'm going to, take my shirt off. I'm going to do all this stuff because I'm like, I might not get to do this for another 10 years. Who knows? So, and I think that it's hindsight being what it is, obviously for anyone young listening to this, you have a whole career ahead of you, but just even still, whether you're 15 listening to this, 20, 12, I don't care how old you are, every experience you get to play the instrument, just really give yourself to it. And I don't care if it's drums, I don't care if it's track and field, I don't care if it's debate, I don't care what it is, whatever your thing is, just give yourself into it, because to your point, you don't know if it's your last time getting to do it. And I think that's kind of another really good segue. I do want to get to Electric Callboy. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I think that's a good segue to talk about the book, because, Unbreakable Rhythm, I'm going to read it so I get it right, but Unbreakable Rhythm, My Journey Through Music, Wellness, and Mental Strength. That's the book, comes out November 11th this year. Like, that I feel like is the core message of your book, is like, never give up, persevere, push through. But I want to hear it from you. What do you think is the most important thing people should know about the book before it comes out?
That it's a book about life, really. It's if even if you're not a musician, it's a book about life, and when you're dealt certain things, how do you persevere? Just the everything that goes on with that side of it, and then the wellness part, the mental health, all of that is in here. Resources, because there's not enough, it's getting better now, but there's not enough information out there that's accessible. We all know somebody, either ourselves or family or friends, that go through things. Here's resources. Here's, how when I was dealt in these situations, what I went through. People always ask about, playing with all these artists and what did you learn? How did you do this in, a couple hours? All these different things, which the main reason this book just really organically happened was it's because of the workshops, which you and I started this, interview talking about, seeing just how magical these were, and just literally, I mean, we had parents telling us that young kids were suicidal, and these events took their kids out of their dark place. And it was really heavy, and it was really working, that I was like, okay, I'm only in one, there's a big world. I can only do a handful of these a year. There's a whole world out here. How do I make this accessible? How do I make this available? What's happening here? These conversations we're having, these resources. I told Jason Pettigrew, who's a dear friend who's interviewed me so many times for Alternative Press Magazine, about it. And I said, I've had a vision board of a book, and I'm feeling something here. And Jason's like, I'm coming to your workshop. I need to see this firsthand. He drove all the way to Chicago, and I was on tour with drove overnight to Chicago to do a workshop, and he watched the magic that happened and what the conversation with the kids and the parents and teachers. He came backstage, and of course, the reporter in him, he just started recording. And that conversation is the introduction of this book. And basically the goal was to put all of this into a book. And then also all these amazing people, as I'm going through life and talking about playing in Motley Crue and training with Laird Hamilton and Gabby Reese, all of these people, we interviewed them for the book. So they're in the book as well. So when I'm talking about those things, you get their perspective, which was really special to have. So like in the drumming world, we've got Adrian Young, because he was like the first person I ever worked with when I moved to LA. We've got Tommy Lee, who's my idol, and all that, just our history together. We've got Gary Newman, who I toured with. Shepard Fairey from Obey, who's designed a lot of my tour drum kits. Got my family, the CEO of School of Rock, Mike from SJC Drums. I mean, it's packed with so many. Derek from Sum 41. I mean, it's packed, and it's really special to just hear everybody's perspective on these situations. And I didn't do the interviews with them. Jason did, because he wanted it to just be really, I think, if I was there, maybe it would, I don't know, be a little different. So he wanted just like the total open. So I wasn't there. I didn't read them. So then finally, when I got the manuscript with their parts in it, it was really special to, hear what everybody had to say and read that. And it's so, like, I always revert back to like little me in my parents' basement to be like, you're coming out with a book and Tommy Lee's going to talk about you in your own book. I would have been like, there's no way. So it's really cool to see this, and what I love about it at the end of the day is like, yes, it's resources around the world. You can have the audiobook, you have the hard copy book. I'm doing it with Modern Drummer, which is so cool because they have a publishing company, which is makes so much sense. That organically happened. I did a rig rundown with David from Modern Drummer. We caught up, told him I was doing a book. He's like, wait, we have a publishing company. Send me the deck. Sent him the book pitch deck. Deal was done the next day. It's just like, what? On a day off on a Sum 41 tour, like, got my book deal with David. And it's so special. He's been an amazing partner, and the Modern Drummer team is kicking ass. It's so rad. again, as a kid who subscribed to the magazine, to now have them put out my book, it's just insane. I still have all my modern drummer books with Tommy Lee on the cover and all that stuff, like from being a kid. But so yeah, so that's incredible. But also, like, as a personal thing to me, to have my life kind of in a book, that when my kids are older, that they can read and show their kids and all that, like, that to me is a very special personal thing, because I've worked so hard, and the lessons I've learned just for my kids to see, to motivate them for their being parents and all of this stuff. And it's just it's really special. It checks a lot of boxes. And yeah, it's been a ride, man. It's for real.
God, I mean, there's so many things going through my mind right now, but like the biggest thing is like, God, what a cool full circle, you know. And back to Modern Drummer, it's like, yeah, I mean, the magazines, we've all had the either VHSs or DVDs of the Modern Drummer Festival, and to have that happen again, that's where the drum community can be really great. Where it's like, hey, let's connect. I got you, and going back to what you first started though with Jason, coming to the clinic, or excuse me, to the workshop, sitting down with you, and the intro of the book is you're fresh off of this workshop. You're at your most inspired. You're at your most like fulfilled, probably. Like, oh my gosh, I just stepped off helping all of these people and sharing this experience and giving them the advice. Like, I can't wait to read that, because I can only imagine the mindset that you were in when he was asking those questions. And I have a feeling the intro section of that book is just, I bet you can feel the energy in the words. And that's the thing that gets me so excited, because, to your point, like getting the interviews with the other folks, which I think that's awesome that Jason did it without you there, because again, they're going to give you the raw, good, bad, and different.
Exactly.
But I think that when I hear about the book, obviously I'm hearing love, I'm hearing passion, I'm hearing, again, energy, the exchange, back to what we talked about before, of like, not just of information, but like, I want you to feel not only what I went through, how I persevered, what it takes to be, I'm going to call it a dream chaser, but it sounds cheesy, but that's what it is.
Totally.
But then also, let me show you in this my love and passion for my thing, right? Because like you said, it doesn't have to be drums, doesn't have to be guitar, it doesn't have to be whatever. This is my calling, and I want to give back. But also, this is the first chapter, right? Like, you just got done with this Sum 41 retirement tour. You're starting with Electric Callboy. This is the first chapter. There's going to be book 2, there's going to be book 3, there's going to be 4.
Yeah. It's really cool, and it's a lot of work when you see, your life in a, couple hundred pages. It's like, what to take out, what to leave in, what did I forget? Like, it's crazy. It's been such a whirlwind, and very, emotional. And then like, for the forward, we got Danny Harrison, George Harrison's son, to write that, who, I played music with him for a very long time. One of my dearest friends. He actually married my wife and I. So I only felt it was right for him to kick off this book. So it's pretty packed, from it's going to be a fun read. It's not like some 400-page thing that's, going to take a while. It's like one of those good, could bang it out in a weekend read, and special just to have, like I said, the resources and things that work for me. And it's just like, hey, this is what works for me. You'll see what works for you, but I just wanted to have that information, accessible, because it's important, just from just the wellness, the mental therapy, all of that stuff. It's just stuff that I've learned and continue to learn. It's just a constant evolution. There really is no end on that, and I'm just committed to staying on that path.
And I love it. So when I reached out to you originally, and obviously you were just starting the summer tour over in Europe, and it was like, holy crap, you're about to just start this brand new journey. But when we first talked, it was, the Behind the Kit channel was just getting started. I think I'd only done like 2 or 3. Now we're about 25 or so into this. And the more of these we do, the more the kind of vision of it gets, I guess, more clearly defined. And your book sounds like a love letter not only to your past and to all the people who have helped support you or teach you, right? Because even if it's a mistake, you're still learning. But also to the people who, the community of fans that support you, again, through those resources, through here are the tips, tricks, lessons learned that I've gone through. Here are resources you can use, whether you're going through the same things or not. And then I think about, bringing it back to the behind the kit, and why I'm just so happy we were able to do this is the purpose of this interview series is to give back to the younger generation and to say, hey guys, and a lot of it was I came back to playing live shows, I came back to doing this, and I saw some of the I'm going to call it drummer etiquette, that wasn't there, and a lot of it wasn't just because anybody's being a dick, nobody knows. They know how to do a paradiddle, but they don't know the right, how to load in at a show, or how to interact with a vendor, or how to do this, or how to do that, and what it takes to be a pro. And so, the fact that we can come on this channel, we can, on this discussion, give that, and then also lead them to your book. So, hey, if you want to continue this research, if you want to continue to learn and grow and have, again, the resources, because that's what this is, it's a resource. Here's this awesome book. And again, I don't want anybody to forget, we mentioned it a second ago, but November 11th, that's the day. Can they pre-order it now on Amazon or anything like that?
Pre-order will be announced pretty soon. That's coming within the next week or so. But yeah, that'll be soon. We're just finalizing everything, deadlines are unstunned right now. But it's exciting. It's really, really exciting. Got so many amazing photos from childhood till now, which was hard to narrow 200 something photos down to 50. It was really, really hard. Just to I wanted to, obviously everybody that's in the book, all the guests have moments with them in it, and just show kind of the pictures that mean the most to me. It was just really fun to get all that in there, and at the same time actually create a soundtrack for the book as well, which is really cool. So that's, there's that component. There's an EP that is the soundtrack of just really amazing, vibey, feel good songs. I had my kids do the art for the single, and the EP just played on the music and was what are you feeling? They just sketched a bunch of stuff out. That was the first session. And the second session was okay, let's really hone in. And it's for them, I just want this to live on live out there in the universe forever. And I went in their room the other day and they're Dad, look, and they're have Spotify, and there's the single art that my youngest made, and it's so cool that that was a really cool idea I had. And it was the main reason I did it, and I haven't even talked about this, was I was on the road with Callboy after coming off a very long final tour. My kids were having a hard time with me being gone, and I was trying to just do things to keep us connected. And there was two exercises. One was my oldest son's into 3D printing. I had him 3D print a treasure box, and each country I went to, I got something from that country, and I would take a video of it and show him what I got and make a log of it. And then when I tried to mail it to him, and then it came back. And then when I got home, we have this treasure box from my first Callboy tour when I was all over Europe, and all the things I collected that they have in a box, just to kind of keep them included and have a connection with them. And then my other thing was hey, I have this idea. Are you guys down with this music for you guys to do the art? So it was more of trying to connect with my kids while I was traveling, and to keep it special, because that's the only hard part about what I do now, is being on the road. And yes, I do get to bring them out more now than when they were babies, but it's still fucking hard. And that's something that is going to be a work in progress forever, because this is what I do, and I have to explain them this is how I provide for the family, and it's also my passion and my love. And I was coming out of the laundry room when I was home for a quick, literally 2 days in between something the other day, and my son was it's Dad, it's almost you're not a family member because you're not here. Something to that effect. And it was the most heartbreaking thing ever. And I was just and I don't think he meant it to be, because they have kind of two lives. They have a life with their mom, which we're still married, happily married, but they have a life with their mom when I'm on the road, and then they have a life with dad when it comes home, and it's two different vibes and energy, and it's always that like readjusting and all that. But I was like, hey, buddy, I was like, you understand that like my work is on the road, and I'm sorry things have been so crazy. I'm really gonna scale back, in the new year, and it's just Callboy tours. Callboy prioritizes family, and our legs aren't going to be as long as some 41 without breaks and family time. I'm not going to fill my plate with a bunch of things in between that, so we have quality family time, and I'm acknowledging that and working on that, and he understood, but it was cool for him to like at least communicate that with me, as hard as that was to hear, but it's like that's the hard part of what I do.
Dude, like as soon as you said that, oh, you're fine. As soon as you said that, like I don't know if you saw, but I'm like, oh, because my
Yeah.
my daughter's 13, or she will be this year. So to me, and again, maybe this is now just us talking as two dudes, but that's huge when it comes to the level of trust and love and commitment that you've shown to your kids. Because again, if you don't have that with your kids, they won't tell you that stuff, right? Like they
Yeah.
won't even talk to you about that because they don't feel comfortable or they don't feel like they have a relationship with you. So like, as heart-wrenching as that was, because God, I'm sitting here like, oh God,
Yeah.
like kudos to you though, because I'll tell you just a quick side story. So I was married once before, got divorced a couple of years ago now. I'm remarried now with the best person in the fucking world. But in that kind of period of time where we got divorced, my daughter was just a baby. I shouldn't say that. She was 8 or 9. And we're sitting on the couch one day. And, when I was in my first marriage, I was not the best dad. I was young, I was focused on work and not really present. And also the marriage was not healthy. So that does what it does. And she's looking at me and she's like, I'm so happy that you became a better dad. And I was like, oh, like it just hits you right in the chest. And, I look at her and I was like, I'm sorry I wasn't this person the whole time, and it was just this moment of like, oh my God, like, and now, like, again, this was years ago, but now her and I are best, I mean, as much as you can be with your kids, but best friends, she's my everything. She's, so we could not be any closer than we are now, but it's, to your point, it's like, when you can have a conversation with your kids, a little bit of a different situation, obviously, but when you can have your conversation with your kids and they feel comfortable enough and they can be that honest with you, it's like, I have definitely built a trust and love and connection here, even if what they say hurts, so kudos to you, man, because regardless of the fact that you're out there touring and stuff, he knows that you're doing it for them, and he knows that you're safe and that you are dad and that you love him and that you will do anything you can for him. Like, so again, I know we went off a tangent there, but I'm just like, kudos to you, because that's huge. That's so big.
It's communication, and we've always had that, and we've been real with our kids since day one about everything. And same with my wife and I. Like that's just the way that we roll. And like I've just I'm on a constant path to like learn to navigate, grow, keep the communication, and just show my kids like I'm this passionate. I don't care what they do with their career, as long as they're that passionate and they work this hard. And like that's really what this book, the workshops, to show people I'm no different than you. I just stayed on my path until it happened. And you can do this too. And I'm here to tell you that straight to your face, because you just think that it's about luck or this or that. It's like, it's not. I'm the same as everybody here. I just said, this is what I'm going to do. So if you're going to be a dentist, be the best fucking dentist you could possibly be and stay on that path till you're there working on people's teeth. It's like that simple, and too many people do things because they just feel like they have to survive, and they're fucking miserable, and that's not healthy. And I'm just trying to shine a light on some things and just be real with people. And that's like the goal of the workshop. It's the goal of my life. It's the goal of the book. And that's like the message that I just kind of want to just put in the universe and have out there.
I mean, you're speaking my language, because like, And I know that you're big into fitness as well. Like you're in insane shape. Now I'll tell you right now, I put on a little bit of pounds, but like, but the message is you're capable of one more, and you're capable of achieving whatever you want to achieve. It's just
Right.
discipline, consistency, perseverance, doing the work. You could do whatever you want. You could change your body. You can, again, become the best fucking dentist in the world. You could become a stadium touring rock musician,
Totally.
but it's just gonna take a shit ton of work, and you just have to push through all the bullshit. You just have to.
100%. Just ignore the noise and just focus on the prize. And it's that easy. It really is. And of course it's going to take time. I've dedicated my whole life. I've done this my whole life. It's like, it's all I've done, and I love it. And I still feel like I'm just like getting started, and it's just this constant evolution and journey. And that's just we're in the Wild West as musicians and as artists and entertainers, and it's exciting, it's exhausting, it's everything. It really is. It's all of that.
I agree with you 100%. And I know that we're close on time here because, again, like you mentioned, you got audiobook, you got tours going on, you got all kinds of stuff. So what I'll do to kind of close this up is just say, hey, Frank, we only have the last couple minutes. What I'd like to use that time for is let's just let the audience know what's going on in your world. Again, remind them of the book, remind them of the tour, all the stuff that you've got going on so they can stay up to date. And I'll make sure that in the upload of this, we also, of course, tag all that stuff, put the book in there, put everything in there. But take it away.
Yeah, Electric Callboy World Tour kicks off November 1st in Europe, and so exciting. It's going to be an insane show production. I just saw my drums that are about to be shipped to Europe. It's a beast, and there's a lot of extra special things going on with that, which is so sick. SJC just crushed it as always. All my companies have just stepped in, and we've done something really special for this. And then the book will be out on November 11th. I start the workshop book tour dates in December. We've already announced a portion of the dates where it's going to be including School of Rock, some stuff at the Punk Rock Museum in Vegas. I'll be adding more dates throughout the year for that as well. So that's really it. It's just like book and the workshop, book tour events, and this Callboy tour. So it's and then an insane year on just another great level, and I just can't wait to have this out in the world, and then get to like actually get out there and do these events and just see the feedback and connect with just more people on this this message and journey, and then see everybody on the road on this Callboy tour, which is going to be so fun. Can't wait to get back out in Europe.
I'm so excited for you, man. Congratulations, seriously, on everything, landing the Callboy gig, the book. I mean, the honestly extremely successful retirement tour. I mean, dude, you are just on fire. And take all that aside, right? Take all the cheese and brown nosing out of it. I'll just say, dude, we were maybe acquaintances before this. I feel like I've really gotten to know you as a man, and I'm like, God, I feel like I've just made another friend, and I just have to say thank you for making the time. I know you got to jump, so thank you for giving us the time you did, and I really appreciate just everything you shared with us today.
Of course, no, thanks for reaching out. Thanks for what you do for the drum community. We need more of this, just great positive resources out there for the drum community, because this stuff wasn't available when we were coming up. So it's important to have that out there now, and having just positive, great stuff out there with just really important information and life stuff for drummers to know. Yes, there's all the studying and the learning and all that, but like there's also the mental side and everything else that goes into that. So, keep doing what you're doing. It's so cool when you sent me over just like all the amazing artists that have come on your on your podcast, and that's what it's about. Like the drum community is rad. Drummers are always it's a brotherhood. It's just a rad thing that I don't see with really any other musician group. So drummers are just a rad brotherhood, and it's just so cool to see like all the great people that have come on to chat with you about life and drums. It's super rad, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and we'll do a part 2 of this. But for now, Frank, thank you for being one of those rad drummers to join, and I'll talk to you next time.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.